Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show episode 76 this week. Tim and I with you. I'm Kellen. That's Tim. Tim, say hi real quick.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
And did I just say Tim and I? Did I say Kellen and I? What did I just say right there? I said Tim and I, didn't
Yeah, maybe.
I? Or did I actually say my own name as if I was... That's weird. Anyways, welcome back. I think we took a week or so off. We've obviously talked about CES and had a bunch of stuff going on, and it's now getting to that point where we're starting to ramp up to new phones, like the 2015 phones. Like HTC stuff's been leaking left and right. At least we think it has been. Galaxy S6 talk, I feel there's a new article out of a Korean publication every other day, basically. That's happening. There's also a new story, well, I guess this is an old story that's now resurfacing about Google attempting to take on wireless carriers, all sorts of stuff. So I thought we'd get together on this Friday and sort of close out the week talking about some of these hot topics. So thanks again for joining us. But we'll start with HTC in this. I don't even know what to call it anymore. The One M9, or we still think the code name is Hima.
Hima. Is that how you pronounce it?
You want to go Hima?
I go Hima. Hima. Hima.
Hima?
I mean, it's probably not right at all, but it's phonetically correct, I would think.
I would think Hima, but it could be Hima.
My
Hima?
girlfriend said she thought Hima, and I was like, nah, I just pronounce it Hima, but that could be completely American and
no idea.
ignorant of me.
I'll let the chat catch up there, and we'll get back to that. Decide how you say it. Is it Hima or Hima? Or Hema. It could be the third option that neither of us go with. On completely unrelated, but sort of related note, we met with the folks at Spigen over CES, and for years I've called them Spigen. And no, their name is actually Spigen. So good to know that. All right, so HTC One. I think it was Bloomberg, maybe Reuters. I can't remember. They said that they called it the M9, and forever UpLeaks, which is kind of an HTC leaker, has called it not the M9. Said it's not the M9, not the M9, because for the last 2 years M7 and M8 were the code names, and then HTC did something really weird and attached M8 to the actual retail name of the One. But so we all just assumed this year's would be the M9. Anyways, UpLeaks has said no, it's Hima or Hima or whatever you want to call it. And so we don't know really what the name is, but anyways, it's everywhere, right? So the first report of the week said 20 megapixel camera, maybe a smartwatch coming as well at their March 1st event. Because I don't know if we've had a show since that came out. So March 1st, HTC is hosting an event in Barcelona, Spain at Mobile World Congress to announce their new phone. It was Bloomberg, by the way. So they basically said what we've kind of heard all along, right? 20 megapixel camera, ditching the ultra pixel unless they throw that on the front. It's definitely not going to be on the back. Probably no duo camera. Snapdragon 810, metal body, gold, gray, silver. Nothing really new there. But then as the week's gone on, more and more and more just keeps coming out. So Nowhere Else, which is Nowhere Else a French website? Is that what the .fr means, or does that mean something else?
Yes, that means it is French.
Okay, that's sort of what I figured. So they leak quite a bit of stuff, which is weird because they're not really a cell phone site, but randomly they'll just throw up some like exclusive. Actually, I think they just kind of troll around like Weibo and some of those Asian forums and grab stuff. But anyways, they're good at it. So they posted up what could be the first look at the M9, and it looks like the M8. Slight tweaks to the speaker grills. They look a little more, I guess the speaker holes look a little smaller, maybe a little finer. There's not much else different. It still has that HTC black bar. There might be slightly less bezel on the side. Looks like it's probably a pretty tall device. The pictures that are coming out are showing a square camera housing, single lens, so no duo, headphone jack on the bottom, micro USB off-centered on the bottom, all metal. Looks like a One M8, but with no duo camera sensor. So that came out. And then the next day, our friends over at Fandroid posted up additional pictures that basically look like the device from Nowhere Else. And yeah, again, it just looks like a One M8, although theirs if I'm being honest, looks like it has a case or something around it potentially. Like they have this one picture that's like the gunmetal gray version on the front, and there's clearly like a weird gold casing wrapped around the backside. So we don't know, is it HTC hiding something, trying to hide the actual design, or is it really going to look this janky? I hope not. So lots of stuff. Just your thoughts in general on the week. It's I swear, like there's probably 10 other leaks we could probably talk about. Like people are finding camera samples and all sorts of stuff. I mean, we could just kill this thing if we wanted to. So what do you think about the HIMA?
The Hime is how I'm gonna pronounce it from now on. But I think it's cool, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, like you said, it looks a lot like the M8. The one thing I will say about the backside that we saw, how it's squared, I can't believe that. I don't want to believe that. I want to think that with its curved design, HTC would stick with the circular camera cutout. That's really the only thing I would like to change. I mean, if this is the real deal, I like that it has kind of that silver backing with the dark black accents with the lines. I mean, it looks a lot like the M8, like you said, and I still have an M8 on my desk. I look at it all the time, and it's a good-looking phone. I just wish it wasn't so tall. And, I mean, look at all those bezels, and then you got the black bar still.
Yeah.
It still has its issues, and if it's going to look exactly like it did last year, then I feel like I'm going to have the same issues that I have with the last one, that being that it's just too tall. Although, from these looks, they put the power button on the side. It's not a third button. There's a volume up, volume down, and a power button. And so that's good. And I'm sure there will still be like an IR blaster on top and
that would be sweet.
All that stuff. But, Ultra Pixel, I'm glad, that's cool on the front. I'm glad they got rid of supposedly got rid of the dual camera, although EvLeak sent out a tweet yesterday, I think it was, and said, would you guys be sad or happy if it had a dual camera? And I didn't tweet back, of course, but I thought, I would be a little disappointed in HTC's decision there.
I guess if they wanted to do, like, if these are early prototypes and HTC's trying to trick everyone or something like that, which companies have done in the past, I guess I wouldn't mind a duo camera. Like, if these are shells hiding duo camera stuff, although that doesn't really make sense if you're testing it, right? You should be testing the duo camera. I just care about the main sensor. Is it bigger than 4 megapixel resolution? That's all I care about. And it actually, if you think about ultra pixel on the front, almost makes more sense if you're taking selfies like everyone seems to do these days. A lot of times they're in terrible lit conditions, and the worst camera on your phone is the one on the front, right? So the ultra pixel, the whole idea there is to capture more light. So it actually, rather than the 13 megapixel ridiculous thing they put on the Desire Eye, a 4 ultra pixel actually makes a lot more sense for a selfie camera. It can capture more light, you can get better selfies when you're in the club. I mean, makes sense. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like the design, obviously we like the design of the M8. Like I've been using the gold one for a little while, and I was using the silver GPE edition for a while too, because they both got Lollipop. And the height, the tallness of it is still an issue. It reminds me of like the iPhone 6. I had the same complaint there. It's too tall to, like, you have to adjust a lot, and it's slippery. So I actually wrote 5 ways that HTC could improve the design to make the M9 potentially the best phone. And so that was one of my things. It's too tall. It's also too slippery because of this metal. Like if you don't have a little bit of tackiness to your hand or a little bit of moisture, I feel like this thing is so slippery. And then obviously, yeah, if they fix the camera, which they might, like I don't necessarily need a depth sensor. While that was kind of an interesting idea, I just want a really good camera. I don't need ultra pixels and duo thingies. I just want it to be a good camera. So I hope HTC can do that. And this looks like it might be a similar design, which I think is fine. Like I don't think they need to redesign the entire phone every single year. And I think a lot of people feel that way. They always want something like so crazy and new they've never seen before, but the design is pretty good. Like you said, it's a little tall, and we all hate that black bezel thing that they won't get rid of, which has circuitry in it. But overall, it's a good-looking phone, and so they don't need to change a lot. They just need to fix those problem areas. It looks like, or at least we're assuming they're fixing the camera. The rest of the stuff, who knows? I mean, the internals, right? A Snapdragon 810, 3 gig of RAM. Like, it's going to have all the internals you want. If you wanted a quad HD display, it apparently is only going to be 1080p, but I'm fine with that. Like the Moto X is my favorite phone from last year. It's only 1080p. Like I don't really care about quad HD. 1080p is fine. So yeah,
Yeah, anything that'll help battery life, too. That seems to be a big thing for people these days is how long their phone will last, and QHD probably just won't last you long enough. 1080p will be better for the battery.
yeah. I mean, Motorola had to throw a 3,900 milliamp hour battery in the turbo to get it to last, a day and a half, almost 2 days or whatever. That's, if they would have put a 1080p display in there, the thing probably would have lasted 3 days.
Yeah, that's one phone that I just don't think needs quad HD. That was like the last spec I expected from Motorola to throw in on a Droid phone.
Yeah,
Not
I
that
think
the
they were
Droid
just
line's
trying to
bad.
go like super over the top or something like that. I mean, because they put every top spec they could possibly in that phone.
Capacitive buttons. They
And
ruined
they just
it.
had those stupid capacitive buttons. Seriously, if you didn't have those, I might be using that phone still.
Word.
But like the Nexus 6 has a quad HD display, and its battery life is not really that great. So yeah, I'm fine with 1080p. And yeah, if the processors they're becoming more efficient and more efficient. So if you keep 1080p and better processors, and I'm assuming HTC will maybe bump up the battery a little bit. I can't remember what last year's. What was the M8 like? Was it 2,300 milliamp hour?
I couldn't tell you exactly.
I think it is. I think it's one of the smaller, and I think people complain about that too. Rightfully so. Everyone else is throwing in 3,000 milliamp hour batteries and stuff. So maybe they'll go a little bigger there. We haven't really heard much about that, but I'm actually pretty excited for the phone. Last year I really wanted to really like it, and then the camera was just a bust for me, and then the size just started bugging. It was like it started with the camera, and then the size started bugging me because it was so tall, and then the slipperiness started getting to me, and then yeah, it just all kind of fell apart from there. So if we get the camera right, then maybe I can deal with the rest of the stuff.
Camera's a big one.
Yeah.
They're the ones who put emphasis on it, and when it turns out that we don't like it, what are you gonna do, right?
Well, and if the camera, so we obviously like the Moto X the last 2 years, and they've both had pretty bad camera. Well, the new Moto X camera is not terrible. It's not
Terrible.
great,
It's not good.
but so if your camera's going to be crappy, you better just blow me away with everything else, like software features and performance and the hand feel, and customize it, like some extra things, right? In HTC, they give you a really nice looking phone, but it doesn't really feel that great in hand because it's so slippery, anyways. So there's reasons, not just the camera, but yeah, sometimes it starts there. So it's coming March 1st, and we'll be ready to talk about it once that happens. I'm excited about it. Apparently, Samsung's going to announce the Galaxy S6 the next day. I was thinking about this today, actually. So March 1st is a Sunday, I believe. Why on earth would HTC announce their brand new phone on a Sunday? Most people aren't hanging out on the internet figuring, like, I know that Monday morning they can come to work and get on the internet because they're not doing their job and find out about the new HTC device. We'll still probably be talking about it, but does it make a lot of sense to announce a phone on a weekend?
They aren't doing this in MWC, are they? Like, aren't
Yeah.
they? Wouldn't they be like a day ahead, or no? Like, depends on what time they're doing it here. Do you mean they're doing it like Sunday night here, but that would be Monday morning over there?
I don't know if they've said the time, have they? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's happening on March 1st, though. And
Okay, so they mark the calendar March 1st. For
Yeah.
them, that would mean Sunday over there then.
Yeah, so Sunday there, which could mean even Saturday at midnight here. You know what I mean? Like, it could be. So that's even worse, right?
It's really bad.
So if you're going to announce it's Sunday in Barcelona, that could be like at 2 a.m. in the U.S. or something like that. That seems like the worst possible timing ever.
I'll be sleeping.
Yeah, I'll probably be sleeping too. Unless they host a New York event, and then we'll probably be at that.
Of course.
So yeah, kind of weird. I was just thinking about that today, that they're going to announce their phone for 2015 on the weekend. Maybe at like 2 in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe, it's kind of like NVIDIA. They host things on Sunday, the Sunday before the kickoff of CES. They want to be like the first thing people talk about coming out of there.
Yeah.
But then it'll just get pwned by whatever Samsung does if they do it the next day. We'll see. Because Samsung, not that the GS6 will be better than the M9 or the HIMA, but, just that Samsung, the name has a bit more weight to it at this point.
Do you think Samsung is going to actually, on March 2nd, announce?
No.
I don't really feel like they are either. There was one report, I think, out of Well, no, I think there's maybe been 2 out of Korea now or something that have said that.
I mean, anything's possible, but that just seems so unlike Samsung, considering how much effort they've put into, releasing the other two at their own standalone events.
But did they? I want to say last year they did do it though, like right before MWC. And then HTC waited a month so that they could just announce it and tell you to go buy it at Verizon, something like that. I think the Galaxy S5 might have been announced last year at MWC.
Yeah, the S4 announcement though was the best one ever. So if they could just do that type of stuff, I know that stuff probably costs a lot of money, but so worth it.
Take us back to Broadway, Samsung.
Do it.
Back to Broadway. All right, so yeah, HTC stuff. I get the feeling that, and HTC's the worst, right, at controlling leaks every year. We were joking about it earlier this week that that kid that leaked the M8 that like posted a 10-minute video review, and it was the most painful video on earth, and you can still go find it. But last year, that was way early before the phone had been announced, and this kid's like, check it out, I'm in my bedroom, like, here's the M8, and it was painful, but I just expect something like that to happen again. HTC can't control anything. Like, everything leaks from them.
Well, luckily, HTC made a big deal about announcing it and then having it available on carriers.
Yeah.
Their companies are getting really good about keeping the internal stuff from non-leaking, but once if it's being carrier tested, then there's a whole other branch of people you have to worry about, and those people don't care. Trust me. No, So we shall see if HTC wants to play that game again and release it on carriers day one or within the first week. We could start seeing a lot of leaks, videos, more pics, all that stuff. It's an exciting time of the year. It's the best time of the year. I love it. Leak season.
Leak season. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So let's see if we go from there. Google. Do you want to talk Google?
Oh yeah, Google.
So Google really is going to become a MVNO, a mobile virtual network operator.
According to reports.
According to like a half dozen reports now. So it started. Well, this talk actually started a long time ago, like months ago. Now it's coming back, maybe a little more serious this time. So the information first reported it and said that Google is in talks with T-Mo and Sprint to lease basically network space and then launch as their own carrier. I would imagine just as like a prepaid carrier, like Straight Talk or something like that, an MVNO. And after they reported that, then hours and hours later, I think at like 8 o'clock at night, the Wall Street Journal then said the same thing, although they maybe said, no, it's just Sprint, or they're basically lined up a deal with Sprint. And then was it the next morning? There was a third one. Who was the third one? Was it like Reuters or something?
Bloomberg. Was it Bloomberg?
It might have been. It's one of them. I swear, like every single major tech publication like that reported it. They said, yeah, Sprint, they've already made a deal with Sprint to launch their own service. And so we don't really have any other details, but you can sort of figure where we're going there. It's got to be some sort of prepaid service. They're basically just leasing space on Sprint or T-Mobile's networks. It would be too bad if it was just Sprint, if I'm being perfectly honest. And so then you would, they would sell you a SIM card basically, and you would sign up for service, and that would pretty much be it. I would imagine it will be cheap, and they'll give you probably unlimited data and text and talk, but they'll have to do something different. I mean, this is Google, right? Like, will they guarantee super fast speeds, or?
Well, they won't be able to do that if they're working off of Sprint's network. Let's be forward here. Sprint service where we're from, or where we are currently, is just not all that and a bag of potato chips. Yeah, so then people. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the Sprint stuff, when they said T-Mobile and Sprint, that was like, oh, okay, I'll sign up for
I can work with that.
The T-Mobile side of it. And then when it was just, they've already made a deal with Sprint, I just kind of went, all right, I don't care anymore.
Right.
I don't. I mean, if it's a Sprint, I don't care.
Change has to start somewhere, though, and if Google is going to try and kind of revamp the whole wireless industry, then they got to start somewhere, and if Sprint's the only one willing to kind of do that first, then or at least let them lease the space, then that's fine with me. I think if they can offer the service at a really affordable price and it's good value, and I mean Sprint, they've been dropping prices like crazy. It's already a pretty good value. Like if you don't mind coverage area and all that stuff, Sprint's not a bad option. However, like I said, I supposedly live in like a Spark LTE area. 'Cause the last device I had from Sprint that had Spark, I couldn't even send out a tweet. Like the signal was just so weak.
Yeah.
And that is, it's really a downer, especially when we're talking Google. I think kind of like the elite, the best, but they have a lot of bright minds over there. I'm guessing they have an idea about what they're going to do. So I think this is a good start. I think it definitely has room to grow and hopefully lease some more space on T-Mo, or I would prefer AT&T because that's the carrier I use. But
what if it's like one of those Republic Wireless things where they really just want you to be on Wi-Fi all the time? But they're leasing with Sprint so that if you're off of a Wi-Fi hotspot, you're going to drop down to Sprint's network or something like that.
That would really suck because sure I am on Wi-Fi a lot, and so are you. But at the same time, when I go out, I don't want to have to worry about that stuff. And on Sprint, I would just, that's all I would think about.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we go. I have to go outside. Who knows if I have an emergency and I need to call 911. If I'm gonna be able to. That's just like not a
Seriously,
problem.
think about that. Yeah.
So
hopefully, it's kind of weird to think that they would do something with T-Mobile and Sprint. So hopefully they didn't just settle on Sprint. I mean, they're two different, network types basically.
Absolutely.
Hopefully T-Mobile somehow sneak. Look, T-Mobile's network still doesn't have great coverage. I know they keep saying we're getting better and whatever, and they keep trying to shoot that down. It doesn't. This last summer, I was in Montana for like a week, and my wife has T-Mobile. She didn't have service the entire time in Montana. And we weren't like out in the boonies. Like we were in the Flathead Valley, which is like a pretty major side of Montana. So like I think
really
I have
such a thing as like the major side of Montana.
Well, I didn't say like a metropolitan side. I just
Okay.
said like a populated side.
There's like 2 cell towers in Montana.
The side where people
In the
live.
middle.
My hometown, Whitefish, has XLTE. I'm pretty sure when I was there, like they flipped the switch on it. And I was like, Verizon's got
Flip that
XLTE here,
switch.
and T-Mobile can't even like borrow some space off an AT&T tower or something. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see where that goes. Google's got to have some sort of. Well, first they'll launch it as a beta probably, so no one will be able to get it, right? Like everyone's gonna be signing up, going, "I want Google Wireless," and they're not gonna be able to, and like a year later. There's got to be some kind of trick. They're gonna have to do it really cheap and somehow give you. I keep thinking like, oh, they're gonna give you like 10 gig of data, but Google seems like they would do unlimited, right? Like
Absolutely. I feel like they'd move the limited route. Unfortunately for everyone who thought somehow that Google was going to pump money into Sprint's infrastructure to make their network somehow better, no, that's not what's going to happen,
I
folks.
don't think so. No.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would say probably not that.
Definitely
I don't think
not.
Google wants to. Google's leasing space basically, so they don't have to spend billions and billions and billions
Exactly.
on a network and
Exactly.
deal with that kind of headache. Yeah.
Oh, and a headache it would be. So.
Yeah. So we asked everyone, does a Google operated wireless service interest you? And about 50% said yes, even without really knowing much. They just said yep. And then another 40% said maybe, depending on. And only 10% were just like, nope, I'm good with my current carrier. So those are the 10% are probably Verizon Unlimited
Verizon
users.
Godfather, yeah, grandfathered in, not Godfathered, but yeah. And good for them. They were the smart ones. They knew what they were doing, so they listened to us.
I think I still have a Verizon Unlimited line, even though I
Okay, you
use
do.
AT&T for the most part. Like I'm just hanging on to it because
You
just
never know.
because. Yeah.
The apocalypse may come, and you're gonna need that.
Seriously, you never know. Apocalypse happens. All right, so Google Prepaid, again, we don't really know. We don't know pricing. We don't know how it'll work. We don't really know whose network, any of that stuff. For now, we just think Sprint, Google are the closest. T-Mobile might be in there. That's it. That's all we know.
This year, though, we do know that.
Oh, yes, and more than likely happening this year, and they wanted to launch last year and didn't for whatever reason.
That's huge. It could possibly be a game changer. All it takes is one mic.
Yeah, but like I said, the game-changing thing has to be something they're doing with the plan or the pricing.
Absolutely. They're going to be the new Uncarrier version 2.0.
That would be funny. Let's see. So Galaxy S6 talk. Lots of stuff there as well. So like we mentioned earlier, there's a rumor that it is coming at Mobile World Congress as well, maybe March 2nd, which would be the day after HTC does their thing. There's rumors suggesting it won't be waterproof, that it'll have a glass back and a non-removable battery, and that it won't have a Snapdragon 810 because it's overheating, even though LG said, no, it's not, it's fine in the G Flex 2, we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
but
there's
they're a
all,
bunch of liars. I'm sorry, I gotta throw this out though. You know, because we both held on to the G Flex 2 at CES. Man, that phone was hot. Like, I get that it's being used constantly all day long.
plugged in all day,
Yeah,
blame
but
the
it was-
turbocharger.
Yeah, but it was pretty hot. I was like, ooh,
I don't personally remember that. I just remember it being
Really?
janky as all could be.
Yeah,
Like
the
it was like the
software needed some
jankiest
tweaking.
software ever is all I remember. And I'm trying to give them a pass because it was probably super pre-production software, but it was janky. So I don't even know how the Snapdragon 810 ran on it. It probably wasn't even an 810 in there. It was probably
just
some
don't-
other placeholder processor. or something.
yeah, I don't want LG speaking up on Qualcomm's behalf. I don't appreciate that. If Samsung's gonna call out Qualcomm, I want Qualcomm to fire back and not, some OEM.
Well, and it wasn't directly Samsung, right? It was the South Korean publication, and they're the
course.
obviously. So, like, part of me just
They're
thinks that
puppets for
Samsung goes,
Samsung, dude.
right. That's exactly what I think, and obviously we don't have any proof of that. But like it's seriously South Korean publications are the ones they've been hammering on this for months that the Snapdragon 810 is overheating and has all these problems, and Qualcomm sucks, and it's like. Everyone else is using like the HTC One M9 has an 810 in it. So does the G Flex 2. So there's all these other, but like when it comes to Samsung, all the media is like, oh no, it's overheating for them, so they're going to use Exynos. So, okay, I don't know, whatever.
It makes sense to me. I mean, Samsung's really been pushing Exynos processors quite a bit. The technology seems to be growing really in the right direction. The whole lineup is like octa-core processors now.
Yeah. It would
So-
make sense for them to finally push those.
Why
right?
not? Absolutely.
They
They
go,
can
yeah.
save some money on and not give it to Qualcomm. More
Right.
power to them. This is
Yeah.
Samsung we're talking about. They can do it.
Yeah, I mean they've been making their own chipsets for a long time. And remember when they had the Hummingbird? Like that was a big deal. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Hummingbird processor."
The Nexus
was
S?
awesome.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
that did have a Hummingbird in it, but it was in the original Galaxy S series. They all had Hummingbirds,
Right.
and then they switched, I think, after that. But yeah, that was like the hot processor, Samsung exclusive. Yeah. So those are kind of the other rumors, and then there was a big rumor out of BGR claims that they have a full spec list, basically, of the device. Take it for whatever you want, basically. But they said 64-bit, 8-core processor. That could be the 810 or whatever Samsung's new processors. 5.1-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED. That's not surprising.
I will say real quick, the A10 is the same specs as whatever they listed, the 64-bit 8-core. So that could be they could have meant the A10, and Exynos rumor was just a rumor, but who knows?
Right.
Unconfirmed.
Yeah, all of that stuff unconfirmed. 20 megapixel OIS camera, 5 megapixel front shooter, 32, 64, 128 gig storage options, 25, 50 milliamp hour battery, built-in wireless charging. Just not sure I'm buying that. Samsung, they sell accessories to do that. They've never built it in. Let's see, quick charging, which would make sense, but this is where it comes back to Snapdragon, right? Like Qualcomm's the one with the quick charging.
2.0.
Yeah, they're the one with the quick charge technology. So apparently it's quick charging, and then Samsung Pay, which would be like Apple Pay, except I get the feeling that if this is true, they're going to partner with Loop Pay, and they're going to use that Loop Pay's technology, which allows you to basically touch a terminal instead of swiping a card. So it's not really NFC, which would be kind of cool, actually, because then you could pay at any terminal instead of just NFC stuff. Metal and glass body, Gorilla Glass 4, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. What do you think? Does it sound like the phone of your dreams? They didn't mention a fingerprint scanner, which I thought was interesting. But
Yeah. Yeah. 3 things I could probably touch on. Qualcomm versus the Exynos and the whole LTE stuff on different carriers. How they could, with LTE, the radio kind of built into the chip. Say like NVIDIA. Sure, they got some awesome chips, but they could not, for the life of them, get the LTE radio kind of built inside. They had to buy another company just so they could even do that. So Who knows what Samsung's going to do on that front. Death to 16 gigs out of the box. That's great. So 32,
awesome.
64, 128. That's awesome. So with the 32 gig, you're probably going to get like 8 gigs of usable storage out of the box. So that's a plus with all the TouchWiz. 2550 non-removable. That's bad, especially with quad HD resolution. You're asking for trouble there. Sure, you have quick connect charging. If that's all legit, then that's great, because say we have our turbochargers and whatnot, that's good. But at the same time, I want my phone to be able to last a bit longer than 5 hours.
What do you think quick connect charging means? Does that mean it's going to use the new USB that's reversible?
Yes.
That's what that means?
That has to be it.
Because they're not going to like invent some new magnetic Apple-style charging for their
That'd be a bad idea. Bad idea. Yeah, so quick connect, just plug it in, reversible, et cetera, et cetera.
That would be nice. I can't wait. That's going to be one of the biggest things to ever happen, because I hate plugging micro USB things. Every time I plug it in, I'm like, oh, that's the wrong way. Flip it over.
Yes. And let's see, what else? The glass body.
Mm-hmm.
What a change that would be. What I really wanted was just chamfered edges, like the Galaxy Note 4, but smaller.
What if you get chamfered and glass?
Is that even possible? Like kind of a chamfered metal edge with a glass. Oh man, that would be so sweet. Like Apple iPhone 4S type deal. That would be really hot. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, this phone sounds pretty amazing on paper, but that's how it always is. Like, next gen phone. But Samsung always finds a way to kind of piss me off. I know it's gonna have a home button, so it's already sort of and I can live with a home button just fine. But I like on screen a little bit more. But other than that, this is sounding good. Of course, Quad HD Super AMOLED on the Note 4 is absolutely stunning. So the camera with the display, you're gonna be taking some sweet Instagram photos. I mean, it sounds like a great phone, right? Besides the size of the battery, non-replaceable, and people want to be able to change out those batteries. They love that. They like being able to take off the back and throw in a new battery. But if you got the quick charger, then who knows? Samsung Pay, they're said to be working with Visa on that, and that's exactly what Google should have been doing from the get-go. And forget MasterCard. People don't want that stuff. We want Visa. So that's what Google Wallet should have been.
Well, Google, basically jumped around having to work with them and did their sort of like wallet cloud thing that they're doing, so they don't even need to like make a deal.
Of course.
I don't know. You can use any card. I'm just scared that it's going to look like every other Samsung phone, and I just don't like the look of Samsung phones these days. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. The Note 4, pretty nice looking phone actually.
Yeah, Note 4's not bad looking.
The Alpha wasn't terrible looking either.
Yeah, the Alpha is great. Make the Alpha a little bit bigger and have glass on it all over the place with the chamfered. I'd be totally happy. Super thin.
Yeah, that's true.
I just want it to be thin. I want it to be elegant and sexy, unlike the S5 and the Note 3. I mean,
I guess that's the thing. Yeah, like the Note 3 and the S5 were so bad looking. Yeah. But I gotta be fair. The Alpha is a nice looking little phone, and the Note 4 is too. So
exactly,
they've come a long way. So I guess I should set my sights a little bit higher, be a little more open to what it's going to look like.
Have some faith, man.
Yeah. Galaxy S6. I'm trying to get excited about it. I think, what are you more excited about, the S6 or HTC's new phone?
S6.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so if those photos are to be believed for the HTC, then I'm not overly excited, just because now I'm like, okay, it looks like the MA, whatever. Yeah. Like, on to the next, which is unfortunate. Like, I'm sorry, but I do like HTC's design. But again, if it's gonna be the MA, I've already been there, done that type of deal with it. So yeah, bring on the S6.
Bring on the S6. Or are we just waiting for the G4, which isn't coming for a while, apparently?
Oh, the G4 could be super hot. Although, did you see AT&T just tweeted out that Lollipop is coming for the G3? So I know LG tweeted it out earlier too, but I don't know if AT&T confirmed it. But they did now.
AT&T, sweet, coming soon.
Yeah.
Like, just keep saying coming soon. Like, give us a date or something.
That doesn't
say
help
like
anybody.
Next week or something. That's just.
Well, it was supposed to be last month, I thought, but that never happened.
I think it was supposed to be before the end of the year, right?
Yeah, they said December 2014. So, liars.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
But regardless, the G4, That one's definitely on my radar. I mean, the G2 from the G3 blew my mind. So
Yeah.
what could the G4 be? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I feel like LG is one of those companies that really tries to push everything with the newest technology possible. Even if,
Absolutely.
like the Quad HD display on the G3 last year obviously isn't great compared to the other ones, but it was the first one. Like they always try to push boundaries a little bit. G4 is one of those things we haven't really talked much about because there's not much out there. Like I feel like they're not even close to having that phone ready.
Right. LG doesn't try to. There was a word I was trying to think of, but kind of like how they don't compromise on what they feel is the best route to take. Like for example, the circular smartwatch stuff. Even though the G Watch R is not my favorite looking, they knew that they wanted a full round display, so they did whatever they had to do to give that experience to people, and I can appreciate that. A lot of people like the G Watch R more than the Moto 360. We can't all have the same
Yeah, I
taste.
mean they're wrong, but yeah,
Sure.
people can have different
But
tastes.
LG, they seem to be kind of on par tech-wise in terms of the display stuff. Sure, resolution, it's definitely not Super AMOLED, but they're packing pixels in there. So, and their designs are great. I pulled out the G3 again. I charged her up, and I've got her going because I want that Lollipop. So, coming soon. But I do enjoy the G3 a lot. Like if last year this would have been my phone if the Moto X wasn't so nice, and it got Lollipop on the Pure Edition. But the G3 was easily my number two. Love their camera. Their software could use some tweaks, but it is what it is.
It
So
is.
G4 might be my go-to phone this year. Maybe after the S6. I don't know. It's gonna be a good year.
I think it's going to be a good year too, just because I think last year was such a bad year in general for most of these
Yeah,
companies
good point.
that they all have to either do something crazy different or
We're
listen to
switching to
people.
iPhones.
Yeah, it's just like it for Android. It exploded right for like a few years there, just exploded. Everyone was winning and everyone was making money. And the last couple of years, not so much. Then it was just Samsung, and now they're not even. They're still making money, right? They're just not destroying the world like they were for a while there. So everyone's got to do something different. So everyone's got to show why they're awesome, and I think we'll see really cool stuff. So,
Yeah.
yep. All right. So, just quickly, I found this hilarious. But over the weekend, right, basically when we were taking off at the end of last week, there was a report that Softcard, which used to be called ISIS Mobile Wallet, I'm sure you guys all remember them, that Google was going to buy them for like some crazy massive discount because ISIS Mobile Wallet, which is now Softcard, is a disaster and a massive failure. And look, while I don't wish any company to fail, and there's obviously employees there, and they're probably not going to have jobs and all that stuff, and that's terrible, and I really do feel bad about that. Watching Softcard crumble is like the greatest thing ever because for years we talked about Google Wallet being we kept saying blocked, right? Because Verizon was blocking it from all their phones, and Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile made this ISIS, which is now Softcard thing, and they kept saying, no, we're not blocking Wallet, but it's still different, and so we don't want it on our phones. It's not secure, whatever. I mean, there was like excuse after excuse, and the real reason we all know they were blocking it because they had their own mobile payment system coming, and so it was this huge pain point. And I don't know how many countless articles we wrote about Verizon and ISIS and Google Wallet, and it was just so obnoxious until Google finally got around all their ways of blocking it. And so yeah, to see Google potentially buy them, and apparently they're going to buy them if this actually happened. The report said like about 100 million or just under 100 million. But it also said that AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile have all invested hundreds of millions into the service. So if Google bought it for under 100 after all that, it's just that's what you get, Verizon, AT&T, Mobile, for creating a service and trying to ruin and trying to keep things from customers. Pissed me off. So I thought that was hilarious.
Absolutely. They're a terrorist organization. What do you expect?
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that I mean it's just been like this terrible rocky road for ISIS,
It's
right?
been a downward spiral for them, unfortunately,
Yeah.
which is sucks because we don't have a problem with their personnel or anything like that. It's just
Uh,
their business plan. It kind of interfered with what we wanted.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you could argue that one of the reasons Google Wallet never took off was because these three carriers were like,
They
No.
stopped it.
Yeah, we're gonna stop it and block it and not let it work. And so then Google had to basically try to figure a new way around it. They did, but who knows if it's too late now or whatever. But yeah, and ISIS didn't come out forever. It was delayed and delayed and delayed. Finally came out in a couple of select markets. It was Austin and Salt Lake City or something like that. And so people used it there, and it was there for months and months and months. Never went public. Then finally went public for everyone to use, and they didn't have any deals in place with, like you said, Visa and MasterCard. So you couldn't even add like your debit card. You had to use, I think it was an American Express card or add a Serve card, or there was like select credit. It was a disaster. It's still a disaster. I've never used it because I could never just add my like credit union's debit card, which is crazy to think. So nothing's come of it since then, but I just thought that was hilarious. Go away, Softcard. Let's see, what else happened this week? Verizon announced their Q4 numbers, and while they were announcing the fact that they're still adding customers and still kicking everyone's ass, they're also not going to ever introduce something like rollover data because they are a leader, not a follower. And even though T-Mobile's uncarriering all the things and AT&T's following and reacting, Verizon says, we're not changing. And they clearly don't have to, right? I mean, people are leaving, so their churn rate is up, which is the rate at which people leave them and go to different carriers. And so that's up a little bit, but that's because T-Mobile and Sprint and like are offering to cut their bills in half and things like that. So it makes sense people would leave, but for the most part, people are satisfied. They're not leaving Verizon if they pay more. They want that network.
Yeah, I don't think Verizon wants to give T-Mobile the pleasure of kind of having that feeling of being the puppet master, if you will. I mean, AT&T is straight up on strings right now. Whatever T-Mo is doing, they're just like, oh my god, they got to fire back, and it's never really as good. Because you see John Legere go off on Twitter saying this is all BS, blah blah blah, marketing mumbo jumbo. Verizon, I don't think they have to follow lead by anyone. They've definitely, I mean, Verizon is number one, at least in the eyes, I think, of U.S. consumers. So you can't really argue with the numbers. Verizon is king, and they probably will be king for a little bit while longer. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's gonna, slow or stop them. Obviously, AT&T's right there; they're the other big guy. But I mean, Verizon AT&T's reacting and doing all these things, and Verizon's like, whatever, we're still killing it. And
Verizon has this huge, like the enterprise market and stuff that is disconnected from the consumers, like the end consumers like us, for example. And I just don't know if they really, sure, of course they care, and it brings in a crap ton of money, but at the same time, they always talk about how much money they're pumping into kind of their enterprise and the network and stuff. So I think they're doing just fine. I don't think they definitely don't have to worry about T-Mobile in terms of, numbers right now. I mean, Verizon unfortunately has a lot of shareholders they probably have to please, so I don't think that pleasing the customer is number one right now. It's definitely,
which just sucks, right? And
sure, but
I kind of feel like you're right when you say that. Like that Verizon, they know what they've got. They know no one's gonna leave it, and if they don't like change to like make the customers happier and happier, they don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, we see it in our comment section all the time. There's definitely the vocal few who say they won't ever switch a carrier just because Verizon has the best coverage,
right?
And there's no denying it. Like we've seen coverage maps from everybody, and you can't deny that Verizon definitely has the best. They may kind of bend you over backwards with some of the rates and stuff that they have, but if you want the best, you got to pay for the best.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So and yes, I'm sure they're all evil corporate people, but it's just a company, I guess. What do you expect, like a for-profit company to be not evil? I don't know.
Right. I mean, look, we give Verizon a hard time a lot,
Sure.
but we get it. Like all these companies, look, T-Mobile, they love you so much, right? Like they're gonna keep telling you how much they love you, and they're changing industry.
But what can they
still
offer?
Trying to make money, right?
Of course.
And I know they're trying to be as upfront as they can, which we all appreciate. But in the end, T-Mobile's still trying to make money. They're not just like, hey, we're going to take a loss just so we can have all these happy customers. They're not going to be able to do that for long. So, look, Verizon's just honest about it. It pisses a lot of people off, and I understand that too. But
the truth hurts.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
I wish AT&T didn't bend over backwards to try and copy T-Mobile as much too. I think it's just silly. Like AT&T, at least where I am right now, in the point of my smartphone life, they have the best speeds for me. So I stick with AT&T. I just do a monthly plan, Go Phone stuff. But so I wouldn't go back to Verizon. But at the same time, AT&T has a lot to offer its customers in terms of value per se. They have great phones and they have awesome coverage and speed. But T-Mobile can't offer that same thing as Verizon and AT&T does. So I just kind of wish that those two would sort of just distance themselves from all the drama that T-Mobile tries to create. And of course T-Mobile's not going to pick on Sprint because those guys are looking up saying, oh, what the hell?
They just dismiss Sprint at this point, yeah.
Exactly. Like he hasn't talked about Sprint too much at all. He might have said something about
He says how terrible their network is, yeah.
Exactly. So, T-Mobile's on the up and up. I think they're trying to do good, but yeah, like you said, at the same time, they can only do it for so long. They have to slow down the Un-carrier movement just to kind of. I mean, they got shareholders too. So.
Yeah, you think so. So yeah, the carrier thing, that battle's never gonna end, right? They're all gonna.
No, and it's great for us. Sure, if rate plans go down, all that, but what you need is a real disruptive guy like Google just to come in and be like, you know what, we don't care if we take a loss.
Yeah.
Because I think their end game is making it just a better place for consumers in the long run.
To use search and use. Yeah,
that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, that'll be the thing I think with Google is like, are they gonna make it like $10 a month? You're going to get unlimited data. It's going to be on Sprint's terrible network, but it's like $10 a month, and they're going to, maybe take some sort of, maybe not a hit, but not make that much money just so that you're using all their services or something like that. They have to do something, right?
Exactly. So they could say, sure, we'll sign you up for like $40 a month or whatever, but some of the data you use, like say if you sign up for Google Play All Access or something, the music that you stream, that data doesn't count towards your total or something like that. If you're on Google Play, that data doesn't count, type of stuff.
Net neutrality.
Hey man, I'm sure if it's Google, they could get around it somehow. Some algorithm.
Just saying that'll piss off all the net neutrality talkers. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I think they should just make it really cheap and they use away, and we're not going to make that much money off of you and our plans. Just go use Google Apps or something like that. Who knows? All right, so let's see. Just quickly, Lollipop updates. You kind of mentioned this with G3 USA versions getting Lollipop soon. We just don't know exactly when. The Moto G 2nd Gen in the US, its Lollipop update is supposedly rolling out again. It originally was announced back in like November that it was rolling out, and no one got it. It was like Motorola announced it, and they pushed it out, and they must have found terrible bugs right away, and they stopped it. And so that update didn't happen. It is now happening. So rolling out in phases. I don't know if it's 501 or 502. Probably 501. Anyways, that's happening. That's kind of about all I've got.
I noticed you didn't mention HTC in that list. Like for the One M8 or M7, where are all those updates? Weren't those 90 days or something? That has to be coming up.
I think it's like this first week of February. It is coming up. I looked at some point.
I can't wait for that date to come and go, and HTC to have to issue an apology.
Because Google dropped code early November, I believe, like the first week of November. So that would be December, so February. So it's like the first week of February.
Yeah, there's a solid date where I think Jason McKenzie or some product manager at HTC on Twitter said, start the countdown. Yeah. 90 days from now, your One M8 or whatever is gonna have Lollipop.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
We'll see. I want everyone to have their Lollipop and enjoy it because it's freaking amazing. But at the same time, all they've been doing on Twitter is teasing. Social media is just teasing the update, saying, "Oh, it's coming, we're working on it." But
90 days from November 3rd. That was when they.
February 3rd.
Yeah.
Technically, if we say 30 days each month, but February doesn't have 30.
So that's around 90 days. Yeah. So.
Well, that might be coming a little sooner than they expected, I think. We're 7 days away.
Yeah, why do I feel like that there's no way? Yeah, it's
We'd
like
be,
a week away.
yeah, we'd be seeing the leaks. I mean, if they were a week away from the carrier variants getting it, then there would have to be leaks by now, I would think. Someone's testing it.
Yeah. I think, did they start rolling it out in some other countries potentially? Maybe. Definitely no carrier stuff though, yeah.
No, definitely not. So,
good luck, HTC.
they promised 90 days. I mean, what happens when they break their promise?
Yeah, I
You
don't know.
get
So
free
much for that
credit
HTC
for Google
advantage.
Play or something?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like nothing. Like they're like, we have this HTC advantage, and you're guaranteed timely updates in 90 days. And then when they don't hit it, they just go, sorry. Like you don't get anything. It's not like they give you like a Google Play credit or something. They're just like, yeah, sorry, we're working on it. And it's like, so your advantage is kind of BS.
Lollipop in and of itself has to be such a pain to work with, though. I mean, so for example, like Motorola, they haven't updated the 2013 Moto X at all, and their system, there's hardly any skin on top at all. It's just
kind of
basically
weird.
stock Android. There must be something with Lollipop that really is so beta and janky that these companies are having a hard time because LG can't get out updates, Samsung's not getting out updates, no one's really getting out updates.
Yeah,
So
we didn't even
we've got it on the Pure Edition, but it's janky.
It's so bad.
So
it's so buggy.
So it's not that we blame the OEMs. We blame Google for putting out janky software.
This time, a lot of it might actually be on Google. I might be with you on that. The Moto X, that original 5.0 update was so bad on the Pure Edition. And they've updated to 5.0.1, right? It's not what we have now?
I believe so.
And it's still not great. I mean, there's bugs all over. Yeah, I mean, you have to reboot the phone every day or it just starts freezing up and stuff.
I'm still on 5.0. What the hell?
No, you don't even have. I think 5.01 maybe like you had to sideload, like it wasn't approved or something. So I might.
Yeah, so I'm on 5.0 jank fest.
Okay, so yours is way worse than mine probably was. Yeah, so this one might have been. This might be a little bit of a Google problem because it's just not that stable.
It's so hot though. Like I'll take bugs and jank, and I'll take the sexy OS any day of the week. I really don't care, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and so I've been running it on this gold One M8 because it's got Sense 6. You can't even tell it's running Lollipop.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem with all these guys. One publication put out that TouchWiz, or they thanked Google for making TouchWiz look good with Lollipop. I'm like, you liars.
Was that Sam Mobile? That was funny. They were like, thank you, Google, for making TouchWiz so pretty, or something. Yeah, it was something like that. We looked at it, we're like, it looks the same, and it still looks terrible. It's still TouchWiz.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, comparatively, yeah, sure, it looks a little bit better. Like it's a lighter shade of blue, but it's still it's
extra circle here or there, maybe. Yeah, I mean, people even in the chat are saying the Nexus 6 still has issues, and that's like Google's phone that was supposed to be, the flagship for Lollipop.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some work to do with Lolly. It was a big update, I get it, but
huge.
They also gave us like 3 months of a preview or 5 months of a preview.
Man, what happened to that? So wait, so HTC has had like 180 days with this bad boy.
They've all had some time to at least be playing with the developer preview to think about how they needed to update things.
Tisk, OEMs.
So
well, even Google. I mean, come on, you can't.
Right?
They had to have been working on that for a while.
Maybe it's just too big. Maybe it obviously needed more time because, like it went, like 5.0 came out and then immediately 5.0.1 started rolling out. And then out of nowhere, 5.0.2 started coming. And like, I think we're going to be like 5.0.6 before you know it. And there's still going to be Bluetooth bugs or something. Yep.
Bugs.
All right, you got any apps or anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, apps. Google, the official Google account on Twitter, retweeted something that the Google Cardboard account did, and I guess they partnered up with a couple of Sundance directors or something because they released 2 apps. Let me get the link out here. It's kind of like these trailers, but you use Google Cardboard. I've got Cardboard around here somewhere. It's right here. So I don't know if you still have your Cardboard unit from Google I/O.
I know, I gave it to Eric.
Oh, that's right. Talk about jank. This is the jankiest piece of hardware ever. But so stick your phone in there. It's virtual reality. So everyone says, "Oh, I can't wait to get Oculus or something like that." Dude, I've had Oculus for like months. I just put it on the ground. So the two things are called Evolution of Verse, and the second one is called Kaiju Fury. Now again, this is only if you have a cardboard unit. You can order these online for like $3.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of worth the investment, considering it's $3. What they are is it's virtual reality, or it's 3D cinematic type stuff. So Kaiju Fury is a lot like Pacific Rim, where you're in a first-person view and there's this kaiju attack going on, these big monsters, and it's attacking a city. And what it is, it's really just a trailer for a film that's coming up, which will be released during Sundance, I believe. But it's totally awesome, and it's virtual reality, and it's really cool. And I'm a big fan of cardboard and virtual reality, but at the same time, I'm not going to get on that hype train with the Oculus and all this.
The Samsung thing.
Whatever Windows is doing, the Holo screen. HoloLens?
HoloLens, yeah.
HoloLens, give me a break.
Or HoloLens, whatever the weird people say, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's the Kaiju Fury, and then there's the Evolution of Verse, which is a beautiful, cinematic, photorealistic, CGI-rendered, 3D virtual reality film. Holy, like, that's the description. Are you kidding me? Yeah, so, but it's a journey from beginning to end, and it's a beautiful 3D world that you can look all around, because you're in this virtual reality, although it's really you just holding up a piece of cardboard to your face. But if you do happen to have cardboard, check out these. I'll link it to you in the chat. But then again, if you do not have cardboard, please go get it. It's only like $3 on getcardboard.com or something like that. There's actually a lot of cool cardboard apps on Google Play coming out. So I might have to do like a little breakdown, like the top 5 cardboard apps that you should have.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Yeah, and then everyone's going to say, I don't have cardboard. So I'll have to do something about that.
People need to just buy cardboard. It's like you said, it's $5.
Exactly. It's nothing. So Kaiju Fury and Evolution of Verse for cardboard owners. Thank you.
Get cardboard. Just clicking on the cardboard to see how much it really is.
There's some sites that have it for like $20, and there's some that have it for like $2 with like $10 shipping.
Yeah, there's like different versions, like Dodo cases. Dodo cases is expensive, I think. Though.
Yeah, Dodo.
$25.
Yeah,
crazy.
Everything Dodo does is expensive because it's made in the USA and then shipped from China.
What is I Am Cardboard? I'm looking at all these sites now. $20 there. Like people have made actual businesses out of cardboard.
That's
Knox Labs. Oh, pre-order. I love how Google's selling one called unofficial cardboard.
Yes. So here you go. I'll put it in the chat. Here's a link straight from Google where you can get cardboard. So I think the unofficial cardboard, that might be the cheapest. Or was it?
It looks like it might be. The rest of them are all like $20.
Yeah. So
or you can build it yourself. Like Google gives you instructions on how to just build your own cardboard.
Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, the UC VR headset, it's $15 it looks like. So, you know what? I bet you could even go on eBay right now, find one straight from Google I/O for like $2.
Probably.
And you'll be fine. So.
Or yeah, you could just build one.
Yeah. Or hit up Eric if you can find him. Find him on Twitter and be like, yo, give me Kellen's cardboard.
I think he loves that thing.
He must. I fell in love with it. I was like, man, this is really cool. There's a YouTube app for it, it's super neat. Either way. I know you hate it.
VR stuff, I just don't really.
It's gimmicky as hell.
It is. I mean, maybe there's a world of VR, but I don't think I'm living in it.
The Samsung Gear VR.
We should probably look at that one of these days.
I forgot that thing released because no one's been talking about it. I tried it on at the Qualcomm developer conference, and it was just crap.
Well, you have to have a Note 4, don't you?
Have to have a Note 4.
So you have to have a Note 4, and otherwise you can't use it. So
it's limited.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah,
Thanks
not much else going on.
Tuning in. I mean, the Google news and the S6 and HTC news was pretty much.
Yeah.
What do we have to look forward to though? Like next week, what's going on? Following week?
No, for the next month, yeah, it's going to be like you guys are all just gonna get sick of us talking about rumors about HTC and
That's true.
Samsung, and the Sony rumors I'm sure will start because they're bound to do something at MWC, right? Like they're gonna the Z4 and stuff like that's probably coming. So those will start. So it'll be HTC, Samsung, and Sony. And we're just gonna
No
write
LG?
about rumors. No, the G Flex 2 comes out on the 30th in South Korea, and after that, I don't think G4 is coming for a while. I mean, I think they had an executive say like G4 not coming for a while. We released the G3 in May, so we're still good. You got G Flex 2. I want the G Flex 2. I may buy
Really,
that thing from Korea.
I was just about to ask you. I mean, with all the talks of the new flagships coming out, is the G Flex 2 something you're still interested in?
Yeah, like part of the thing is like it's so plasticky.
Mm.
That glossy back. I know it's self-healing, but it's so plastic. But the curve was cool enough when you held it, and I think it's pretty like damage resistant. Like I think wasn't there demos of people like throwing it on the ground and it wasn't breaking?
I didn't see that one. I saw the one where they were like scratching it. You might be talking about the one where we saw near the press room. The guy had the cat phone, the tractor phone, and he
I do remember that. Yeah.
almost whacked someone right in the face.
I think the G Flex 2 is pretty durable too, though. Yeah, yeah. Where some guys like I almost got taken out by a cat phone. Yeah, no warning. So yeah, I'm still excited for it, but yeah, it's gonna be hard for the G Flex 2 just because it's gonna come out and then a week later or something, HTC and Samsung's phones are gonna be here. So good luck, LG. I do kind of want one, but it'll be one of those things where like I'll use it for a month and then go, oh, okay, HTC time. Oh, okay, Samsung time. And then by like May, you're gonna have to go, all right, which phone should I use? And then the G4 will be here. It's a tough time of year to buy a phone. Like I know why people struggle with phone decisions now because there's a new like from now until June, there's basically a new phone every 6 weeks that you could potentially buy.
Hmm.
Tough times. I mean, good times, but
It's great times. But yeah, G Flex 2, I think it looks pretty cool. Magnet completely.
yeah, you'd be
So,
wiping it all the time.
all the time. So that's a problem.
It's a problem. All right, cool. Well, I got nothing else. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Episode 76. Have a safe weekend. We'll try to be back next week. We'll let you guys know. Droid Lab Show. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.